Welcome back to Rotations. In this particular video, we're going to be going over example 2. So we already talked about in video 1 the definition of what a rotation is, and then example 1, we talked about how to do the general setup for these types of problems. So we actually already found the first one, which I'll make this purple so you can see that it corresponds to the purple V prime. So example 2 is what is the image of, and it has all this notation here. By now we should understand that this means rotation. The 90 degrees means that's the angle of rotation. And the O is the point or the center of rotation. Okay, I like to think of it as the center of rotation. And then this is the pre-image, which we already established was in this spot right here, a V. Okay, so now instead of rotating 180 degrees, we're going to be rotating it 90 degrees. We're going to approach it in the same way. So right now we're only concerned about the center of rotation O and the point of rotation, which is V. What I like to do always is I like to draw my supports to get to point V, and I like using horizontal and vertical supports so that's easier to visualize when I actually do the rotation. So I'm going to draw this green line vertical. As long as it's connected first to the center of rotation, it's fine. I can go horizontal or vertical, but for this particular one, I'm just going to go vertical. And then I am going to go horizontal to connect to V so I can rotate it. Okay, I'm going to make this dotted just so you can see that this is going to be before I rotate it. So I'm going to go ahead and make it a dotted line. There we go. Okay, so this is a dotted line, and now I need to rotate this 90 degrees. So it's easiest to visualize the green support, the one that's attached to O, and I rotate that 90. So if it's pointing up and I rotate it 90 degrees, positive 90 degrees is counterclockwise, so it's going to go that way. Okay, so 90 degrees is that way. Okay, I'm going to leave this on my screen for a little bit just so you can see. Again, so if I have this original support, and it's actually 5 units up, and I rotate it left, it's going to end up 5 units to the left, okay, which is 90 degrees. I'm going to change this to whole. There we go. Okay. Now, what happens to the orange support? It needs to stay attached to the green support once I do that rotation. So if it was pointing up and it was pointing to the right, as the green goes to the left, it's going to be sticking straight up now. A way to kind of remember and to familiarize yourself with the rotations and how it should look and to know if you're doing it properly is to imagine the Buddhist symbol for peace. So the Buddhist symbol for peace looks like this. Okay, I know what you're thinking. It looks like a fascist symbol, but this was first a symbol before the fascists used it. Okay, so this symbol kind of gives you an idea of what the rotation should look like when you rotate it 90 degrees. So some of you, or a common problem I should say, that I see is often people say, oh, I rotated 90 degrees, there's my green, and they get the green right, and they know it's 5 units, and then they say it's like pointing down. Well, that's not maintaining this structure. Okay, you got to think that this is fixed together with like glue or bolts or whatever, and this would be flipped the other way. You can't do that. It's got to be solid in the same direction it started in. Okay, and again, the reason why we do the vertical and horizontal line is it's hard to visualize exactly what 90 degrees looks like when you're using a diagonal line. So if we had this line and we tried to do 90 degrees, where is it exactly? It's tough to say, okay? So that's why we do the horizontal vertical line, because it's much easier to see where it gets rotated to. So now that I've built my supports, my green line that goes 5, and then my orange line that goes 2 units, I can drop down my new point, and I'll call this V double prime. So now I know where V double prime is. That's V double prime. I didn't write down the location, so I should do that first real quick. This is the point -2, -5. My V double prime is -5, +2. Okay, and let's do one more. Now that we got the idea of it and how this works, I'm going to erase my supports. I don't need those anymore. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the last one. So example 3, what is the image of rotation 270 degrees about the origin, okay, point O, for the same pre-image V. So it's the same pre-image, so we can make our supports again. I will show you what that looks like using horizontal supports. So just connecting to the origin. So I'll start this one by horizontal supports. It's the same process. Some people will like vertical supports attached, some people will like horizontal. It doesn't really matter as long as you maintain the proportion of this L shape, okay? And actually for this example, let me connect the dots because I'll show you what the rotation looks like. So if I have this L and then I have this green connecting to be vertical, and again you do this because it's much easier to see a horizontal vertical rotation. Okay, first just imagine the one that's connected to the origin. So this orange support, it's going to rotate 90, it's going to rotate 180, and needs to rotate a full 270. So from being to the right to pointing down, that's what the rotation is going to look like, okay? Now let's see if I can do that using my fingers here and getting this to rotate. I'm going to do my best. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to rotate this 90, see how it travels with it, rotate it 180, and then as I rotate it 270, it's going to look something like that. Okay, not too bad, but that's what the rotation should look like. Now, I need to make sure my proportions are still appropriate, okay? So the orange was 2 units away from the point of origin, and it's still the same. The orange is 2 units away, and the green extends 5 units in the other direction, which is also true, okay? It just got enlarged a little bit. Let me shrink it down to its normal size. Okay, that's about right. Close enough. So our new point, let's make it in red. We can call this B triple prime. As long as it's differentiated from the original, we're good. And this location is 5, -2. Okay, so kind of 2 different ways to visualize it. This is going to help you with rotations as you rotate things. This little symbol here, as you rotate 90, 180, 270 degrees, and then 360 degrees. So that should help you understand what the rotation should look like as you build your supports. Okay, and in the next video we'll talk about a different way to visualize coordinates, but I'm not a big fan of it because you have to memorize things. So stay tuned.